I'm Caitlin Baker, and I'm a senior lecturer in the department. This is the start of my ninth year here at Clemson Com. I try to pull on my own experiences from when I was a student. I mean, it becomes further and further ago the further along we go forward in time. But I never liked classes where the professor would just lecture the entire time. So I try to lecture when I need to, but I also try to intersperse my lectures with activities or discussions or videos, depending on what class it is, just because I think that helps keep it more interesting. I also like trying to incorporate as many current events as I can. That's just like a personal preference. I enjoy current events, and I mean, you can look at this year alone and see that there's always so many happening. So I like to try to incorporate those so that students can see like a textbook to application or concept from class to application sort of things. Teach because I just love working with students, truly. I enjoy watching them excel or having like a light bulb moment in class. But more than that, I enjoy watching them learn something from a class lesson or from a college experience and then apply that to whatever they're planning to do post-college, whether that's graduate school, internship, job, military, whatever that might be. I enjoy when I hear back from students that I've had in the past and they let me know how they're doing or what's going on. Just the other day, I got an email from a student from an older public speaking class, and she was like, I had to give a presentation and I had like no prep time, and I'm so glad I had been through your class. And I think most teachers would agree with me that hearing those types of messages is the best part of the job, pretty much why we all show up every day. I love this question because I'm obviously in comm, and comm is always considered a soft skill. I think it's so important, even nowadays when so much is online, for students to have those very clear verbal and written communication skills. So that's obviously a big one. But another thing that I arguably might care more about, and this is likely because comm is so focused on like social interaction and human beings, I hope that students get out of my class like a sense of compassion, a sense of awareness, a sense of like recognizing that we're one person in this globalized world, because there's always going to be things that are changing. There are always going to be new things to learn. But if you just have that sense of perspective, I think that kind of gets you a long way in life, whether it's an academic setting or long after college is over. Big one obviously is like keeping up with the readings and the assignment. I know that's like a duh, but something that I feel like people say a lot, but students, I think they don't think we mean it, but we really do. Like, come see me in my office, like if we're on campus, or call me or Zoom with me or FaceTime with me or reach out to me. Like, let me help you. I want to be here for you to bounce around ideas about projects in class, projects outside of class, like if you've got something going on with the student organization, or if you're bouncing around ideas for graduate programs or something. All of those things I would love to talk to students about, because I think it's helpful to talk to people who've been in a similar situation, or in sometimes even the same situation, because yes, our experiences will be different, but I can always offer advice in that way. And I learned really quickly after I got out of college, think in your head like, oh, I'll keep up with these people. But unless you build like a sense of rapport while you're here for the 4 years that you are, it's hard to like reach back into your past and ask for a favor if you ever need it. We're always happy to give them, like write letters or whatever. But just building that sense of or talking to your professors, I think is one of the greatest pieces of advice that most students don't take advantage of like they should. That's been super on point, I guess, for kind of the semester we're experiencing. If we were in, let me call it a normal semester, and I noticed that somebody was acting different or whatever, I would either like try to grab them after class without drawing attention to the situation. If that didn't work, I would probably shoot them an email and be like, hey, just noticed that you were acting such and such way. If there's something going on, let me know. I'm willing to help you. And then I think the other piece of that is that my approach to teaching has always been like, I want the help that I offer to be to the advantage of the student. So if there's something going on at home or wherever, and the work that I'm asking students to do in class or whatever's going on is not able to be something they can do, I'm fine with letting them take an extra day or two. Like at the end of the day, those small concessions that we can make can be sometimes a lot more helpful because a lot of times things that are going on at home might be much bigger than whatever my assignment might be in class. Online classes, I like online classes. Earlier I did say they're not my preference, and that's true. But I've taught an online class every summer, and one thing I've liked about it that I've carried into this semester is that it's so accessible within reason. Like, obviously with COVID, we've learned a lot of things about people not having access to stable internet or the technology that they need, or even issues where you might be in a dorm or a home with other people and everybody's on the computer, so it's hard for you to get your work done. But with those things aside, the ability I'm talking about is like, you can be at your parents' home, you can be at your house, you can be in the car traveling, waiting for an appointment somewhere, and be able to do whatever it is you need to do for school. We all have our phones on our hand all the time, or at least I do. And there's Canvas on there. So stuff I think is like portable. Maybe that's a better way of saying it, because accessibility is not all of the equation. But I like that part. I mean, I think that's good for everybody. I'm trying to be very aware this semester, because I am still online, about people who might not even be on my same time zone. So I don't want to have like a live synchronous 8 a.m. class if 2/3 or a half, or even 2 or 3 students in my class are on the West Coast or something, because that's just got to be stressful. So I like that portability, accessibility component. I think it's hard for teachers and students. I was talking about this the other day with a colleague, and y'all probably feel like this when things are online, especially with Canvas, because it reminds you of all of your upcoming due dates. You feel like you can barely take a break from school because there's always something lingering. Like, there's always something on Canvas that you can do. There's always something to turn in, something to read, something to review. That's still true when we're in like a regular semester, but at least you have the idea of like leaving a classroom or leaving campus and going home if you live off of campus. But when your work, like right now I'm in like this mudroom of my house, when your work is right here, like if I'm sitting in the couch or in the living room watching TV, I'm like, well, it's right there, I probably should just go ahead and do it. So it's always feeling like it's right here looming over top of you, that there's not really a disconnect between work and life. You know what? I actually did. And at the beginning of all of this, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be one of these people who says, oh, I need to lose weight in quarantine, or be healthy, or exercise, or do home projects. I was like, I'm just going to do what I want to do and watch TV and be lazy if that's what I want to do. But that was me being ignorant back in March, thinking that we would be like a couple weeks. And here we are, 7, almost 8 months in. So yes, after I realized this wasn't going to be just like a really quick thing, one and done over, I have picked up some hobbies, things that like a year ago I would have been like, I would never be doing that. I bought a Peloton like on a whim, honestly, and I absolutely love it. It's like literally been the thing that kept my brain like going in the direction, like mentally sane. What else? I tried some gardening this summer. I grew some jalapeno peppers and some bell peppers. They did well for the most part, but I have like a stray cat that comes around my house, and so she was eating some of them. And then what else? I was not like a fantastic cook before COVID, and I'm still not, but I've tried to learn some cooking things. I've actually mastered, for me, gumbo and jambalaya. I love Cajun food. So those to me are like pretty big. Really miss Clemson this time of year in the fall when all the leaves start to change. Obviously the hype around football is so exciting, and I love like the week before finals where everybody's like running around hustling and bustling and studying in all the spaces. Just like that vibe I love. And obviously the students, like I genuinely miss seeing students, building relationships with them, meeting them. So those things I miss, and I'm ready for those to be back to normal. Hopefully we can get there when things are safer. I am technically not on the tenure track, so I don't have like a research area like a lot of other professors would. But there is the occasional moment, usually every other year or so, that me and some other lecturers will get together and do panels on teaching practices. So occasionally we'll go to like some regional conferences and put together a presentation about, hey, like these are really good strategies. We've tested it and they've worked in our classrooms and we want to share them with you. I'm definitely more geared toward teaching. I have the utmost respect for people who do academic research, and I think that's fantastic. but I've always been more of the type of person who really enjoys getting to know students. So if there were any research per se for my role, it would be sharing things that we've done in the classroom for other people. A couple of things here. First, I think we have like a really great department. There's like a lot of friendships and working relationships between people, so I like that. I never like to use like the family metaphor because that can get kind of like complicated, and I'm not saying that to be negative, but I do feel like I work in a place where it's easy to show up to work every day and talk to people that are next door, or have conversations that I see, have conversations with in the hallway. So that's one aspect. But the other one is just the students. And a lot of this probably comes down to the fact that I also was a Clemson student. Like, I've tried to picture myself working in other institutions if I ever like had to move, which I don't know why I would, but just like I've thought about it. And I can't imagine how I would relate to students in other institutions in the same way that I can relate to Clemson students, because there's like a piece of the puzzle that I have here that I wouldn't have in other places. They refer to it as like town gown, and so the relationship between the local community, the city of Clemson, and the college, I think is great, or the university, which I should say I think is great. But then I also have like my very specific things. Like, I love going to the SO and eating a bird dog. I love like just checking out all the local places. And so much has changed with downtown Clemson between when I came out of college and now. Some of those changes I've been kind of disappointed in, but others have been like very welcoming and exciting. So I guess I like seeing, you know, how much more popularized it becomes. Things have also definitely gotten a lot different since we kind of became like a national football champion. So that's made it a lot more interesting and fun. It almost feels like we're a small town, but very recognizable on like a larger scale, like whether you want to say nationally, internationally, whatever. So I like all of those things. It's like you're part of something small, because Clemson is really small, but it also at the same time feels like you're part of something really big too. I left college, when I left Clemson, I tried like to just do it, like rip the Band-Aid off, because I knew it was going to be sad and depressing, that I was going to miss my friends and everything. So when my parents were available to move me out of my apartment, like we just went with it, and I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll come back in a few years for a football game or something. Like, I truly did not expect to be back here. And then after grad school, the opportunity was there and I took it. So like that experience of coming back was the ultimate best thing for me, because I never in a million years thought that it would happen. But and you know, I've stayed and stuck around and plan to. So that would probably be my favorite one, because it's like a kind of like a combination between the two, like the whole thing of leaving but also coming back. So that would be my favorite one. Usually I would be tailgating with friends every Saturday. We always get like the same food, Doritos, filet nugget tray, a couple of other things, just out of like superstition. And I always have like 3 lucky, I call them lucky, but I wore one to New Orleans and we lost, so I don't know if it's lucky. But I have like 3 shirts that I always wear. There was, remember like 2 years ago where we played like Syracuse at home in football, and Trevor got hit and Chase Bryce had to come in. I was doing something with the football team that day. I was like their faculty visitor. And I remember just panicking, thinking, we have to win this game. If we don't, they're going to blame it on me. I even like went out during halftime and changed my shirt, and we obviously won. So those shirts, I'm like, these are the shirts. We have to keep them. We have to always wear them, or I do. So that would probably be it. This is cliche, and I feel like a lot of people would say this, and I would not have said this years ago when I first started the job. But now that I've had more experience, I definitely think it's true. I think a lot of comm students get into like one area. They'll say like, I want to go into PR, or I want to go into organizational comm, or whatever it is. And all of those are fantastic. But what truly makes the most well-rounded student is not one student who knows like absolutely everything about one very specific area. It's somebody who knows a lot about the area that they like, but also a lot about other different things too. There's so much at Clemson, like the breadth of experience that you can gain while you're here is just so great. Like if you're a comm student, or any student for that matter, Investigate study abroad, see if it's something that you'd be interested in doing. Investigate things like student media, other on-campus organizations. There's like a social media internship we have. There's an internship you're doing. So even if you think you know what it is you might want to do, just like dip your toes into those other pools as well, because you might not end up wanting to do something with it, but it also might be the thing that helps you get hired or get something on your resume after college. I was a comm major, but I also wrote for the Tiger when I was a Clemson student. And I'm not going to lie to you, I went to grad school because the economy was kind of like it is now. That was just like the thing that people were doing because nowhere was hiring. But my first job after grad school was because I had written for a newspaper, not because I had gotten a specific degree. So that's what I mean. Like, I just did it because I wanted to do it. I didn't it wasn't like a career that I was set on. But doing things like that can always benefit you. And if you don't like it, try it, and then you don't have to do it anymore. Like, you can stop doing the thing if you try it out and don't like it. I think I have like two things. The first one is, again, cliche. The 4 years does go by so fast. I mean, you're in year 3 and you're probably like, oh my gosh, like, where did the time go? Especially in a year like this one that we have where things are not as what we expected. So if there's something you want to try, if there's something you want to do, if there's a club you want to join, if there's something random outside of campus that you want to do, go ahead and do it. Like, don't delay for it because the time will fly by. But the other thing is that Clemson students, y'all are so smart. You're so motivated. You're so brilliant. You want to succeed so badly, and you always do. But sometimes I feel like that comes at the trade-off of doing other, let's say, more fun things. So I think an important part of college is learning the balance, learning when to say, hey, I can put down the books tonight and go do something with, or I can put down the books tonight and watch a movie or go on a run or go on the lake or whatever it is you want to do. So many of my students will say things like, my GPA, my GPA, my GPA. And yes, you need a good GPA. But I couldn't even tell you what my GPA was when I left Clemson. No one has literally ever asked me that, ever. So focus on it, but don't let that be the thing that you trade in for like memories that you could have made. Because at the end of it all, they both matter, but one is not like more important than the other. So keep it balanced, I guess, would be like my final thing.